In this screencast, I'd like to have a piece of paper and pen to hand. If you haven't got one, then stop and grab one. Being active in learning rather than just listening helps to embed ideas. On this course, we want you to be able to use and analyse information, not just remember it, so do take time to engage with the show activities. We'll be no more than 5 minutes in total anyway. This week, we looked at a couple of examples of different selection methods, the most popular of all, interviews, and one with growing popularity, group exercises. It can be time consuming to conduct group exercises, and it certainly takes a lot of organisation. So I'm pleased that we'll be able to get an opportunity to practice running one of these when you deliver your own assessment centre next semester. That would be very helpful to you. Okay, let's start. Have you got a pen? Okay, if you've got a pen, let's go. If not, then you need to grab a paper and pen. You've got 20 seconds to write down the key criteria which we need to think about when deciding which selection methods to use. You might come up with more than 5 criteria, but there are 5 which are absolutely critical, and those are the ones I want you to get. Okay, did you get all of these? Validity, reliability, legality, candidate acceptance and practicality, which we've got obviously cost and the time required within there. So I'll let you have a mark for either cost or time required. Give yourself a mark out of 5. How well have you done with that? Okay, we talked a little bit about impression management and the importance of impression management, and that it's relevant for some jobs and not for others. Did you lie to yourself in marking yourself out of 5 there? I'm sure you've heard teachers say you're only cheating yourself. And in this case, that really is true. Self-awareness is one of the critical things for recruiters. We need to be able to admit our weaknesses, and we need to be able to acknowledge the stereotypes we fall back on, because if we don't do that, we can't address them, and we can't be as objective as possible in the selection process. So just have a think, did you actually get all 5 of those? If you didn't get those, how are you going to commit them to memory? And why did you not get them? Is it because you don't understand why these factors are important? If you're not sure why we think these are 5 really critical criteria for assessing selection methods, and also as we work through the whole selection process, I'd encourage you to go back and have a look at the first week's slides, or have a chat with me at the next session, because it's really important that these things are really sort of fixed in your head, and that you understand the principles behind why we want these particular criteria. Okay, so what did we talk about this week? We talked about structured levels, and we talked about Huffcut and Arthur's grid. I mean, obviously here we're talking about one specific assessment type here, and we're doing that as an example of assessment methods. We're looking at interviews because they're so widely used, but the principles apply across all of the selection techniques. The greater structure there is, the more reliable and the more legally defensible a measure is. What happens to other criteria though? What I want you to do now is take a minute to write down what impact you think greater structure has on the other criteria, on validity, on candidate acceptance, and on the practicalities. If you want to take longer than that, then just pause the video, but I'm going to give you a minute here. Moving on to Huffcut and Arthur's actual grid, looking at interview structure here, We looked at the 4 levels of structure they identified and talked about how we can get very reliable results, but can people actually work to this level? What might the practical implications of this be? Write down 3 reasons why people might not be able to get to level 4. Finally, we looked at some of the factors which impact structure and can affect the level that people can get to. As an occupational psychologist, which of these impact factors do you think you could affect? How would you go about doing that? And that'd be quite useful for you to spend some time reflecting on. Okay, I said 5 minutes and I'm at 6 now, so I'm going to hand you over and let you go off and do something else. That's all from me, but I'll leave you with this extra task. I think it would be valuable for you to take a few minutes to write down why these criteria are important. So you've already got them written on your piece of paper. Let's have a little definition or a little explanation on there of why they're important. And I'll see you next week. Thank you for watching.